Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inurere podcast series. I am your host, Bitemi Adedue. Today, we are exploring innovative giving practices and modern adaptations of African giving traditions. This episode, we will hear from our special guest about our experience and insights on this fascinating topic. We are honored, so honored to have Rama Diallo join us on the Inurere podcast. Rama is currently the special assistant to the CEO of Epic Africa and the country lead of GivingTuesday Senegal. She supports Epic Africa with operations and works to empower African civil society organizations. She is an alumni of the prestigious Marima Ba Boarding School and graduated from Dhaka. She has a bachelor's degree in business administration as well as a degree in English. Wow. Rama is passionate about promoting African women's rights and has founded an association called Whistleblowers Senegal, advocating for gender equality through online channels. She also serves as the president of the Toastmasters Club Dakar Talent Academy, helping members improve their public speaking and leadership skills. Please welcome Rama Diallo. Rama, how are you doing?
Hi, Bitemi. Wow, this presentation is really good. Is that me? Did I do all of that? No, I'm doing amazing.
Yes, you did.
What about you?
I am doing okay, actually. I'm excited that we're finally doing this. This is one conversation I've been meaning to have with you. And by the way, guys, Rama is also a podcaster. So this is like a podcasters connect happening right here.
Right. But I'm a beginner compared to the amazing Bidemi. She's my mentor in podcasting.
Oh my God, you're too kind. Okay. Before we go any further, let's take a moment to reflect on our own cultures of generosity. And this is where I introduce you to the generosity segment. Here, you pick a number and you answer a fun question about giving, about generosity, about giving practices, anything at all. But this is dependent on the number that you pick. So pick a number between 1 and 30.
And 30? So I'm going to pick 11.
Why 11?
Because I was born on the 11th of the 11th month. So I was born on November the 11th. So.
That is so sweet. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so number 11. Have you ever been surprised by the impact of your own generosity? Did you do something to someone and it yielded something amazing and so great, and you yourself were surprised that what you did led to that happening?
Wow, that's a hard one. Okay. So I think the answer is yes. Because to me, like, even when it's like a small act of generosity, like offering a candy to a child, we might consider it as something that is very random and just obvious, but to the child, it's more meaningful than even if you gave him or her a check, because that's what is like rewarding or meaningful to them. So as an example of something maybe I did for someone, something I can call an act of generosity that surprised me with its impact. It might be recommending a friend of mine for a position that, was equal to mine or even more rewarding. And I saw how it kind of changed his life. He was helping his family and he was very grateful for that. And I was also grateful to be able to help someone achieve that kind of thing and help their loved ones. So that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Rama, that is amazing. That is so beautiful to hear. I'm a
Thank you.
big fan of sharing opportunities with anyone and anyone who needs it, really.
Yeah, I love that too.
Okay, so moving on to my next question, but this is more like relating what I'm about to ask you with the theme of our podcast series. At the beginning of
Okay.
this podcast, I said, welcome to the Inurere podcast series, right? So Inurere is a Yoruba term for generosity. In plain
Mm.
words, if we were to attribute this term to someone, it means one who is selfless, one who has a clean heart and mind of goodness and kindness
Wow.
and good fortune. It represents the pinnacle of a perfect human and society. And that is the theme of our series. Now, is there a term like this in Senegal, right? Or your community in Senegal? Does this term exist? What
Yeah.
what is it called? What does it mean? How is it expressed?
Oh, of course, Bidemi. I'm from the land of Teranga. Senegal is known as the land of Teranga, and Teranga literally means generosity. But I also feel like, in the way it's like materialized on a daily basis, I feel like it means way more than just generosity. I mean, generosity is a big thing, but Teranga is even bigger. So it's really something that we live for, that is like not like you cannot separate Senegalese people from Teranga. So it's a Wolof term. Wolof is the most spoken language in Senegal. We have different ethnic groups, but the main one are the Wolofs, and the language they speak is Wolof also. That's why we've used the word Teranga. And basically, how it's expressed in so many ways. But for example, in our communities, we often say that our type of generosity is really great because you cannot walk by the streets and see, for example, homeless people as much as you might see them in Europe or in foreign countries, because we are helping each other. We're not so wealthy, we're not rich at all, but we are rich in our hearts. This reminds me of I love Bob Marley, and he used to say, a journalist used to ask him whether he is rich or not. And he asked him back, what does being rich mean? And the journalist said, how many possessions do you have? And he responded, possessions make you rich. And he said that possessions doesn't mean richness for him. His richness is life. And I can say that here our richness is Teranga. We love helping each other out. So when you cook something, you cannot eat it without inviting your neighbors, or even sending them a plate of it. Everything you cook is not just for you. Sometimes you even plan for people to surprise you and come and eat for you. You never cook something that is just for your own family. And that's just one thing among the numerous and various things that we do, and that symbolize our Teranga. Yeah.
Rama, that is so beautifully expressed. And I mean, it does make a lot of sense that you cannot separate Senegal from generosity. I feel like that is a country of generosity. And I also believe this would help you answer my next question. We've been exploring African practices, traditions, and cultures, and how they inspire modern community efforts. These practices, Teranga, for example, is a culture, it's ingrained in your everyday life. But is it also possible that these practices lay a foundation for innovative projects that strengthens our communities? Can you share one such story of a project that you were part of or you saw that drew from the Teranga culture? How did your community come together, or that community, come together to make it happen? What impact did it have on the people involved?
That's a great question, Bidami. And the first thing that my mind came to is an association here in Senegal that is called Weto. And Weto in Wolof means you are not alone. And that's an NGO that is youth-led and mostly youth-focused that works on mental health. So here in Senegal, most of the time people neglect mental health. They're not very educated when it comes to mental health. And that organization, that youth organization that I interviewed in my podcast for Giving Tuesday, they used an amazing and rooted culture of Senegal, and they modernized it in a way that, I mean, the concept was just so beautiful that I just was so excited to hear about it. Sorry, and even participate in their activities. So basically, they have a concept called wahtan. Wahtan means exchanging, sharing in Wolof, and usually, in some neighborhoods, people will when it's like the afternoon, people will come together. It might be the whole neighborhood or a whole family, because we have like big families here and they all live together. So they might sit on I don't know how you say it in English, but you will sit down to the floor, and you will eat, for example, peanuts, or there is like a chew. I don't know how we call it in French, but it's like it's millet chew with milk that we sit down and eat together while having interesting conversations. That's where people talk about themselves, their day, what happened today, etc. We give each other, advice, etc. But that's a moment of therapy that we have been doing traditionally. Maybe we didn't give it a name called, like, we didn't give it a proper name, but it's like that practice of like expressing yourself, telling people how you feel, and asking them how they feel. So that's exactly what they replicated, but in a more conventional way, if I can say so. So they will come together as young people. For example, the baccalaureate happened a few days ago. So before the baccalaureate, they will call every people that all those students that are preparing the exam, sit together, share meals, and discuss about the pressure that society puts on them just for a small exam. Well, it's not small, but just for an exam, how they feel, are they ready, what are their fears, etc. All of that just to prepare them psychologically. And I find that concept just amazing and really, really impactful, because sometimes it's really good to talk to professionals, mental health professionals. But at the same time, when you talk to someone that just looks like you, that just thinks like you, or that just listens to you, maybe they don't know what can solve your problem, but even having someone to listen to you can help a lot of people. So I really love that concept, and I think that's a good way to like mix modernity and traditionality.
Absolutely, Rama. You just shared like the perfect example. And I'm gonna move on to maybe something else that also falls right into what you do, because I know you are a creative. And I want to ask a question. In keeping traditions alive while adapting them for today's world, we know it can be rewarding, but we know sometimes there can be a disconnect between the days of the old and today. But what are some creative ways you think we can achieve balance in keeping African practices alive, adapting them creatively, in our own communities and organizations even? How can we honor these traditions and make them relevant and engage them, in our communities?
Yeah, great question again. So Bidemi, I think when you say creativity, you open the door for like endless possibilities. That's why I just love creativity on top of being creative, because for me, we are sometimes limiting, sorry, philanthropy. And I think it should be as wide, as open as possible. It's not that you have to like create an NGO or a CBO to be a philanthropist. I think that when it comes to creativity, for example, I am a writer. I am writing a novel currently. I think in my art, in what I'm doing, someone else can be a painter, someone else can be a singer, someone else can make movies. And I think in everything that we're doing, every creative activity that we're doing, we can incorporate that philanthropic fiber, that philanthropic taste, to make things better, to advance things, because maybe some people are not aware of the organizations that are around them, etc., but they might be going to concerts, watching movies, going to the cinema, painting, etc. So there are, to me, different and creative ways to attract people to those kind of causes, because to me, art really comes from hearts, and it obviously speaks to everybody's heart. So I think there are a lot of ways to express our creativity while being very impactful and helpful for our communities. And I think that's really something that we need to exploit even more. Yeah.
Right. I mean, when you said the opportunities are endless, you know, you needed to see me nodding in approval, like, yes, absolutely. That's the beauty of creativity. Let's talk about your work with Epic Africa and the Whistleblowers Senegal. Given your experience with Epic Africa, how do you see the role of women evolving in modern philanthropic efforts, you know, in this context of amplifying African giving practices?
Yeah, so at Epic Africa, we work at different levels with different types of CSOs, so not just women, but I'm particularly interested in women advocacy, women's rights, etc. That's why I founded Whistleblowers. And if I understand your question well, you want to know how we can better empower, spotlight women in this philanthropic sector ecosystem in this context. Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, we have fearless women, fearless African women, fearless Black women, fearless women in general. And I think that's all we need. We have them, but at the same time, our society is sometimes shaped in a way that we are like hiding women's potential, while our potential is just limitless. So I think the best way to maybe ignite that potential, because we are like beings of heart. I don't know if you see what I mean, but women are very, you know, we are always the providers, the helpers, the amplifiers. Everything we touch turns into gold. That's what I love to say. And I feel like all we need is to put each other up, if you know what I mean. Help each other shine, help each other grow, help each other become fearless, realize our own potential. And so there are several ways of doing it. I use online advocacy to write blurbs to motivate women to unleash their potential. Some others go directly on the ground, talk to them. And I think we can be creative when it comes to that. There are several networks that are not necessarily NGOs that where women come together, share ideas about philanthropy, about anything that passionates them. But I think we should do more of that and also amplify it, like make it something that is sub-regional, regional, continental. Amplify it, just make it more visible. Every time you see a woman, for example, I know you, Bidemi, I know you like to empower people, empower women. I follow your stories on Instagram, etc. And they're always uplifting. When you read them, you feel like fearless. You are ready to do more because you know you can do more. But I think we just need to work with each other to help each other to amplify our potential, if I can call it that way.
Right. Oh my God, I feel so happy. You follow me on Instagram? Thank you so much.
I do.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one last question and then we can move on to the next segment. Tell us about you
All right.
leading Giving Tuesday Senegal. How has it been? How has this leadership role given you a platform to express and amplify the cultures of giving in Senegal?
Oh my God, it's been lovely. I just love the concept of Giving Tuesday, and the fact that we can adapt it to our own realities is just priceless, you know. So I have started working on it for 2 years ago. So since then, I've learned a lot. I have met wonderful people. I have discovered wonderful and creative initiatives. And yeah, it gave me more hope in this world. I feel like we're on the right track. And if I see other networks from all over the world, I'm even more happy. I'm really optimistic for our future, for the future of the human race. And that's amazing and beautiful to see that we all share something despite our differences. That's just lovely.
Right. I completely agree. And I'm moving on to the next segment of our podcast. This is the part where you think it's fun, but for me, it's not so much as fun, because now I'm on the hot seat. This is the Ask the Host Anything segment, right? You get to ask me something. I'm handing the mic over to you right now. Ask me any burning question, don't burn me, but yeah. And yeah, I'll be happy to answer. So, what's on your mind?
I'll try not to burn you. Okay, so the first question that comes to mind, I only have one question to ask, is how do you manage to be so pretty, smart, creative, all of those things at the same time? How do you manage to do it as a young Black woman? It's not easy, I'm sure. But how do you manage to do all of that, to be all of that?
Right. I like to think of myself as a woman with multiple personalities and gifts, and I have this insatiable hunger to explore, and I need to satisfy my cravings. So you know how you eat a meal in the morning, you eat a different meal in the afternoon, and what you eat today is not what you will eat tomorrow. That's how life is for me. One day I'm exploring this path, and the next day I want to explore something else, and I want to do it well. So there is also passion, because I also tend to tie all of the things I do to service, to giving back or impacting my immediate environment. Honestly, it could be as simple as the monthly visits that I do to orphanages in Abuja where I stay, or teaching girls how to make their own pads. These things,
Wow.
I live for these things basically, and I've never seen it as trouble. It has never really been a big issue or something to get tired of. I'm doing what I love doing. I think that's the summary of it all.
Amazing. You're just amazing, Videmi. Thank you for sharing this.
You are amazing. Look who he's talking. You also do multiple things. I'm inspired by what you do every day. I wish I could speak French. You
Thank you
can.
so
I
much.
cannot.
Come to Senegal and you speak French.
I know. I think I might take you up on that offer.
Yeah, you should come.
All right, guys, this marks the end of our podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I really hope you've enjoyed, this conversation. You've met with Rama. You can connect with Rama anywhere online. She's on Instagram. She's on LinkedIn. But remember, above all, the spirit of giving and mutual support is timeless. It can be adapted to make a difference in our communities. It can be adapted to our realities today. And you can begin to, integrate the Teranga culture, even if you are a Nigerian, right? So join us next time as we continue to celebrate generosity that binds us all. Thank you so much, Mama, once again.
Thank you, Videmi. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
Bye, everybody.